Greetings, welcome. This is Queen Elle, and I thank you so much for joining me today. As you can tell by the subject, this will be a 7 card tarot spread, and the topic will be mainly questions about myself, how I see myself, any projections about my future, as well as any type of symbolism regarding my past. And as you know from my previous videos, I use the Universal Waite deck, and this is from the Waite tarot deck. And I've talked about it in some previous videos about my decision to purchase the Universal Waite deck versus the original Waite deck. So feel free to view one of my earlier videos in order to find out more information about the reason why I made that choice. But let's just dive right in. So I've already centered myself. I have already blessed my deck and shuffled through it. And now I will just go ahead and cut the deck on camera so we can get started. Again, I just really thank you all for being here with me today. And now the first question, so I have a list of questions that I actually pulled up on Pinterest. So I am all for saying that Google is your friend, and I searched for some of the top tarot spreads. So for anyone that's a fellow tarot reader out there, I know that over time we'll all have our favorites. And I believe that depending on the circumstances, that might make the difference, as well as the amount of time that you either choose to or um, the person has available to for you to invest in the reading. That will make the difference in whether you do, let's say, a larger or more extensive reading versus a 1 or 3 card reading. But this one is a 7 card, and I did want to do that. And it is, like I said, it just delves into some different topics related to myself. So we'll get started. So the first card is regarding the past. So this is regarding me. So let's see. Let me think about my connection to my spirit guides and also my ancestors. Okay, so this one's regarding my past. So this one is the first one. And as you can see, this is the 9. And looking at this one, we know from what I was telling you all before, so the cards are divided between the major and minor arcana. I will do, after I go through all of the cards individually, I will do a separate video delving into what the difference is between the major and minor arcana. Essentially, one is going more into detail, and the other is, it's kind of like a micro and macro level, if you will. So one is delving into details and the other one is looking at the bigger picture. But with regard to this one, and you also know from previous videos that rather than looking up a description of exactly what the general consensus is on what a card means, my preference as I'm acclimating myself to this deck and these specific cards is for me to look at each card and decide for myself how it speaks to me, what my intuition is saying to me, etc. So for this card in particular, I like to also start from the top and work my way down and then just look overall. And sorry if I start looking like bewitched. My allergies are acting up as spring is on the horizon, so forgive me. But so with this card, looking at it from starting from the top to the bottom, again, there's my yellow sky. I love it. You know how I love looking at, sorry, the wind is blowing outside, so you might see me looking over that way. That's what that is. So I love looking at the yellow in the sky. It just has that brightness and just makes me feel like there's that warmth from above and all around us. So I love that. I see how this woman, how she appears to not just have the bird resting on her hand, but because of the glove that she has, she also um, appears to be, whenever I see that glove on someone's hand when they are dealing with birds, I automatically think of um, someone who works with birds on a regular basis. And I feel like that's someone who has to have like a very calm spirit in order to do that. Now, this card is supposed to be representative of my past. So, to summarize, I see the grapes. I see, let's see, the foliage looks to be in full bloom. Something that is interesting is there's a little bitty, I'll get closer, a little bitty snail down at the bottom. Um, I find that really interesting if we're thinking about my past and um, maybe representing someone who was slow to do certain things. So let's see, maybe slow to trust. And that's something that I've always been. Um, I don't know. I don't know what that says to me. That's just really interesting. Um, just for the sake of time, I am wanting to be mindful of my time. I know I can be long winded, and this is a 7-card spread, so we'll keep it moving. Another thing that stands out to me is on her garment, there are those flowers again that I saw on the card that corresponds with my birth number of 3, and that's the Empress. And the garment that the Empress was wearing has has like those flowers that are shaped like that, and it makes me think about the ultimate feminine, that female symbol for Venus, and that's just how I correlate that shape too. So that's what I think about there. Um, I will do a follow-up video to this one just once I really delve into more like what these cards mean, then I can give more of an accurate reading. But for now, it just makes me think about how, like, I'm interested in, so the head of the bird appears to be covered. That's quite interesting. I have no idea what that means. That is quite interesting. So I'll figure that out. And then the significance of the grapes. I'm sure that there's some significance there. So we'll dive into that some more. That snail, I think, is hilarious. Um, just making me think about how there's just some areas of my life that I move a lot slower and I'm more cautious. So I think about that. Um, I will say that looking at her face, she looks quite somber, and there have been a lot of somber moments in my past. So that's my past. Now, looking at the next one, let's see. The next one is how I saw myself, and that's interesting. So let's see. Queen of Pentacles. And that's what these are before I get into that. So also with the major and minor arcana, there are the 4 suits, and the suits are representative of, they're called the wands, the swords, the pentacles, and cups. And those symbols are the pentacles. And there are, let's see, that was 9. So there were 9, and they go up from 1 to 10. So there's 9, and it's generally a progression. So when you're starting from 1 to 9 of intensity, and a lot of times growth when you get from 1 to 10. So there's 9. This one is the Queen of Pentacles, and also the cards, those suits, they similarly to a deck of playing cards, they have different um, the different royalty at the end of the suit or the top of the suit, and that's the king, queen, usually king, queen, and jack. But in these tarot decks. It's King, Queen. It's a pardon me. It's a Jack, but also a ugh, okay. Forgive me. I want to say page, and that's between the queen and the jack. So again, I'm learning as we go along, and that's why I said that I really appreciate and love how you all are along this journey with me. So this one's the Queen of Pentacles. So this is how I saw myself back then. So just looking at this one, I would say, um, I mean, again, she looks very. This one, while I felt the other woman looked somber, I feel like this one actually looks sad. And I do believe that I felt like I was in a sad state of being in several times of my past. And so that would explain why I would see myself like that. Um, she does still appear to be royalty, which doesn't surprise me that there's that queen title with how she's sitting on a throne, but she does appear to be all by her lonesome. And I definitely saw myself alone a lot in my past. And the ground, I can't help but notice that the ground seems quite barren and not as fruitful. So, interestingly, up above her, there's that foliage. So, I almost feel like she's not looking up there. So I almost feel like there really was all of that growth and some life around her, but the way that she actually saw herself, the way I saw myself, was quite alone. And there is that rabbit in the bottom corner, and of course, a rabbit typically means being fruitful, but I'm not sure if I saw myself like that. So this is interesting. Okay, moving on. The third one is what I learned during that time. So this is still in the past tense, what I learned. Okay, so this is one, and this is the one of that little goblet would mean the one of cups. So we have wands, we have swords, cups, pentacles. So this would be cups. And so this is the one of cups. It's the magician. Let's take a look. So there's that foliage around the top again. And that was what was evident in the last card, that Queen of Pentacles. And I love that infinity sign above his head. And so this is what I learned. So I did learn that there is an infinite amount of abundance and growth, especially when we allow ourselves to learn from the past and learn from our experiences. Then when I see him, okay, and this is quite interesting. Oh, huh. This is quite interesting. Okay, so I saw the goblet or the cup first, but this card, so it actually has, there's the cup, there is the pentacle sign, there is the sword, and there is the wand. So this is all four of the suits being represented here. That's interesting. Okay, so all four are being represented on the same card. That's quite interesting. So this is what I learned. That would lead me to believe that there's an infinite supply of everything within me. Now I know that each of those suits, it they represent the different aspects of our life. They represent the different elements: earth, fire, water, and air. And this is telling me that all of those things, all of those qualities that I possess everything. It makes me think back to what I was saying about being a Pisces and how, with us being the 12th zodiac sign, that we truly encompass everything from the zodiac, different qualities from all of the different signs, building up to this 12th sign of Pisces. And so, this is telling me, if it's representing what I learned, it's telling me that I did learn that all of the qualities that I seek, all of the qualities that I admire in others, and even over the years have been envious of others, possessing those qualities where I felt like I was lacking, that I truly possess a bit of all of that within me. And if I tap into my intuition and tap into the true essence of who I am, that the options are limitless of where I could go and what I could do in life. So that's my takeaway from this one. The next one is your present circumstances. Okay, let's see. Present circumstances. Okay, this one's the High Priestess. If you watched my video from the other day, you'll notice that this was the one that I pulled when I did the spread for my daughter. And it was the one representing how she could practice self care of her body. So, my present circumstances would be this one. And this one, it has the number 2. And I noticed that there is the Torah that the High Priestess has in her arms. She has the cross on her chest. I love her headdress. I mentioned that in my other video. I also love the foliage that's behind her. And whenever I see foliage in bloom, especially fruit and all the greenery, it just makes me feel like alive. And then also there's the crest down at her feet. And I mentioned in the previous one that that blue and white in her garment, and the way that the illustrator has it looking like water almost flowing down below, that I just feel a sense of almost effervescence, and just something that is constantly flowing and in motion, and just life ever flowing. And I'm still not so sure about the B and the J and those pillars and what they represent. Um, it just seems like royalty and a sense of regality, and um, some true anointment and divinity. And so this is my present circumstances. If this is truly it, then I feel truly blessed. And I'm so thankful to my spirit guides as well as my ancestors for sharing with me that that's actually where I stand today versus where I stood before and versus how I saw myself. So that just makes me feel really special. Now, the next one is upcoming influences. So that's interesting. Okay, the Wheel of Fortune. Okay, now I've heard people bring this one up. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what it's supposed to represent. I would assume. I mean, we know what the Wheel of Fortune means as far as almost having just like free reign to, on one hand, the gift of being able to access a Wheel of Fortune. You know that all of the options on the wheel are all blessings, are all benefits to you. So it's like you can't go wrong because they can't do anything but add to you, add to yourself and what you possess. But there's also that I play both sides and weigh in on everything. There is the part that I don't like as far as feeling limited. Do you have an unlimited amount of choices where you can just keep spinning and selecting? Or is it really a game of chance? Like, okay, well, do I only get this one spin on the wheel? Like, how does that work? I'm the one that would always ask all of those questions. So, looking at this, First, it's a 10 card. I see that. I see one who looks like an Egyptian at the top, based off of the headdress. I see the angel at the top. I see the bird. I see they both have a book. I'm not sure if that would be considered like the book of life. I see, okay, looking at this wheel, it looks like the wheel is representative of different aspects of the zodiac. And it goes back to what I was saying about the four elements being represented by the zodiac, and also by the four suits of the tarot deck. So I see that. Also, the animal angels or spirit animals, they also have books down below. So it definitely looks like everyone is up in the sky and up above in the true divine space. I see just based off of the clouds surrounding everyone. So it's like everyone is up there. I see that there's that serpent. So there's that visibility as well. And also this presence, it looks quite, I would dare say, evil. It looks a bit demonic. And I know that I've said that the color red before, to me, has made me feel like it's warmth and it gave me more like a positive feeling. But in this case, it actually is an aversion to me, just looking at how that image is drawn. So we'll see kind of how I feel about this one. As far as how I feel that it relates to the topic. So this is upcoming influences. I feel like I will receive the opportunity to have different different options, and to choose, almost like pick your poison, but not in a negative way. That I will have the opportunity to make certain choices that may or may have the right outcome in the end, kind of like what's behind door number 1, 2, or 3. And I believe it will depend on me using my true intuition and tapping into that to determine if the outcome is what I would hope for. Card 7, how they will affect you. So how those upcoming influences will affect you. Whoa, there's the Hanged Man. So this is, again, the number 12 for the Hanged Man. And this is how it will affect me. So will it affect me? And I've talked about this card before, so I won't really go into it too much this time. But how it will affect me, does that mean depending upon how the choice I make, which of the different choices I make, it will really, will that depend on whether I am in essence kind of throwing myself for a loop and maybe turning my circumstances around from my present circumstances to this? Or does this mean that because of me having those opportunities, will it cause me to feel like this? Because I know that it said how those opportunities or how those influences will affect me. So will I be affected like this
because the opportunities have presented themselves. So that's yet to be seen. The final card is the final outcome of all of this. Okay, the final outcome is strength. So after all of this is said and done, I will possess strength, and I'm looking forward to that. So this is the 8, and there's that infinity sign again. So I believe this is possessing infinite strength. And I love again how the illustrator was able to capture love and respect and almost adoration in that image of the lion that just it's so uncanny, but I love that. I've never seen a lion depicted like that. So I do look forward to possessing strength like that. So this is how those influences, I know how they'll affect me, but this is the outcome, is me possessing the ultimate strength. So I'm looking forward to that. Um, I won't take anything negative from this. Again, I feel like everything that we experience, we have a way and an opportunity to look at it as a lesson and to learn from it versus allowing ourselves to be consumed by it in a negative manner. It's all about our perspective. So I truly look forward to that. And I will remind myself along the way to do so. I will definitely tap into my intuition. So that's been my 7 card spread today. And I really thank you once again for joining me. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Please feel free to reach out to me if you have any type of feedback about how I can better serve you and help us all out along this journey. So, peace and many blessings to all of you. This is Queen Elle. Please also feel free to visit my Instagram, which is Queen Elle 79. Thanks so much. Take care.